What can a single nickname reveal about the truth behind their relationship? When fans uncovered the secret names Chae-min and Yoona use for each other off-camera, the internet exploded with speculation. Was it just playful friendship? Something much deeper hidden beneath their flawless public smiles? Every whisper, every glance, and now, every nickname, seems to tell a story the cameras never captured. Let's uncover the truth behind the bond that suddenly set social media on fire. The studio lights had long gone cold, but their warmth still lingered in the air, like a memory refusing to fade. On stage, the set was empty now. Only the faint smell of hairspray and roses remained. Crew members were packing up props, their laughter echoing in the distance. The show had wrapped hours ago. Mira stayed behind, her gaze lost in the reflection of the empty director's chair. The nameplate still read, Jin-woo. He'd left his coffee mug there again. She smiled faintly. Behind her, a familiar voice cut through the silence. You always wait after everyone's gone. She turned. Jin-woo stood at the doorway, his hair damp from a quick rinse. It slung carelessly over one shoulder. His tone was casual, but his eyes carried something quieter, a warmth that always made it impossible for her to hide. I like silence, she said. It tells the truth better than people do. He chuckled, stepping closer. Then what's the truth tonight? That I'm tired, she replied. And maybe, that I'll miss this place. He paused beside her, their reflections now side by side in the glass. You always say goodbye like it's forever. Maybe I mean it every time. He tilted his head slightly, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Not to me, you don't. Mira looked at him, really looked at him, and for a second, the walls between them seemed thinner than ever. That was when he said it. All right, sunshine. Let's go before the lights die for real. Sunshine. The word hung in the air like an accidental confession. He'd never called her that before. Not what people could hear. Only once, months ago. Behind the curtains during rehearsals. When she'd been trembling before her first live broadcast. He'd whispered it then. To make her laugh, my sunshine, breathe. Now, he'd said it again. So casually. So publicly. She blinked. What did you just call me? He grinned. What? It suits you. The corners of her lips curved upward. But inside her heart skipped a beat that felt like it belonged to another lifetime. Later that night, someone from the production team uploaded a behind-the-scenes clip. A snippet. A laugh. A name. The internet did what it always does, it noticed. By morning, the tag Unspoken was trending worldwide. Fans dissected every syllable, every glance. They replayed the moment in slow motion, how he said it, how she smiled, how her hand brushed his sleeve before they walked off camera. One comment summed up the frenzy perfectly, that's not acting. That's affection. Neither of them spoke publicly. Mira went about her day, photoshoots, brand meetings. Polite laughter, pretending the world wasn't burning around her. Jin-woo did the same. But silence only sharpened curiosity. During an interview the following week, a reporter tried to slip the question in. So, who exactly is Sunshine? Jin-woo's lips curved into that same maddening smile. Someone who makes early call times worth it. The host laughed. The audience screamed. The internet imploded again. That evening, Mira texted him. Mira, you just made things worse. Jin-woo, did I? Mira, someone who makes early call times worth it? Really? Jin-woo, I was being honest. She stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Mira, you're going to regret teasing the internet like that. Jin-woo, maybe. But not teasing you. She threw her phone onto the couch, covering her face with both hands, and laughed, that deep, helpless kind of laugh that happens when the truth is too close to hide. The following days blurred into noise. Interview clips, paparazzi photos, fan theories, threads comparing their outfits. One particularly viral post paired two pictures, his bracelet, her ring, and declared them matching accessories. Mira scrolled through it all in disbelief. When her manager walked in, phone in hand, expression torn between panic and delight, she already knew. You've seen it, right? He asked. They think you're dating. She sighed. They think everyone's dating. Yes, but this time they might be right. Her eyes flickered up. Are you? The question came out sharper than intended. But he wasn't wrong. Somewhere between script readings and long car rides, Laughter that lasted too long and silence that felt too full. Something unspoken had taken root. The worst part? She didn't want to uproot it. That night, when she opened her phone, a new message was waiting. Jinwoo, they're calling you sunshine again. Mira, and you're enjoying it. Jinwoo, maybe a little. Mira, what about my turn? Don't I get to give you one too? Jinwoo, I'm listening. Her thumbs hovered over the screen. The name came to her easily. Like a word she'd been saving. Mira, then I'll call you Starling. Jinwoo, Starling? Mira, a bird that always comes back. No matter how far it flies. The typing bubble blinked for a long time before disappearing. He didn't answer. Not that night. Next morning. But during their next shoot. He greeted her with a small nod and whispered as the cameras rolled. Good morning, sunshine. He smiled, steady this time. Good morning, Starling. The director shouted, action. It kept spinning. And somewhere, between the dialogue and the silence, something shifted. No contracts signed, no declarations made, only two names. Spoken softly enough that the microphones could barely catch them. But sometimes, that's how the biggest secrets begin, not in grand gestures, but in whispers between words. By sunrise, their secret belonged to the world. Someone on the sound team had posted the raw rehearsal footage, one short clip. 3 seconds long. It was enough. Microphones caught it perfectly this time. Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, Starling. The internet froze, then detonated. Heads multiplied across every platform. Fans translated, subtitled. Slowed it down to frame-by-frame analysis. The look in his eyes. The way she breathes before she smiles. Pause between their words. Within hours, Sunshine and Starling trended worldwide. Edits flooded social media, soft piano covers under their dialogue. Side-by-side images of birds and light. Dozens of comments shouting it's real. Mira tried to stay offline. Her manager begged her to lie low. But the notifications found her anyway, pings that sounded like heartbeat echoes. They're perfect together, said Starling. That's not in the script. Who even says something that poetic unless they mean it? For 2 days she didn't speak to Jinwoo. The air felt crowded with noise. Too many strangers claiming to know their hearts. A message from him sat unread, glowing softly in her inbox like a lamp she couldn't turn off. Then, on the third night, she gave in. Mira, it's out there now. Jinwoo, I know. Mira, they won't stop talking. Jinwoo, then let them talk. You're not worried? Jinwoo, about what? The truth? Stared at his last text until it blurred. Truth. The word sounded simple. It never was. They met again for the live interview. The air between them hummed with unspoken energy. The host, beaming like a kid holding fire, wasted no time. So, everyone's curious, he said. Flipping through his cue cards. Are Sunshine and Starling real nicknames? The audience laughed. Mira's lips parted, ready to give the polite answer, but Jinwoo beat her to it. They are, he said easily. Gasps rippled through the studio. The host blinked. Really? He nodded. They started as jokes. They stopped being jokes. Mira glanced at him, half warning, half wonder. He continued anyway. Sometimes, you meet someone who reminds you what light feels like. So you call her Sunshine. Sometimes, you find someone who never leaves. No matter how far you fly. So you call him Starling. Forgot to breathe. The audience turned to Mira. Her throat tightened. But she managed to smile. That's the thing about nicknames, she said softly. They tell the truth before you're brave enough to. The applause came slowly at first. Then grew into something that sounded like relief. The cameras caught every flicker of their eyes. Every tiny smile between words. For once. It wasn't scandal, it was sincerity. After the broadcast, they slipped out the back door of the studio, avoiding the reporters waiting out front. The city night smelled of rain again. He handed her his umbrella. You know, he said, I didn't plan to say any of that. I noticed, she laughed quietly. Terrified. I was. They walked along the empty street. The sound of raindrops soft as applause. Do you regret it? She asked. Shook his head. No. I think, it's the first time I didn't. They stopped under a neon sign that reflected pink across the wet pavement. She turned toward him. We can't undo this, you know. Everyone's going to think we're together, he smiled. You're right for once. Her heart caught on the word. Simple and reckless and right. Up, brushing rain from her hair. Sunshine, he said quietly. We can't keep living like characters. Not when real life finally caught up. She exhaled, slow and trembling. Then what happens now? He thought for a moment. The city lights painting shifting constellations in his eyes. Now, he said. We stop whispering. The next morning, their agencies released a joint statement, not denying, not confirming. Only thanking fans for respecting the humanity behind the headlines. It was the gentlest rebellion two public figures could manage. Instead of killing the story, it transformed it. The internet stopped treating them as gossip and began calling them proof. Articles appeared about boundaries, privacy. The rare courage of artists who choose honesty. Fan letters arrived by the thousands, some in envelopes, some as digital collages. All signed simply, from one sunshine to another. One starling who understands. For the first time, Mira didn't feel afraid of being seen. Months later, their new film premiered. The crowd waited for scripted smiles. When he reached for her hand on the red carpet, she didn't pull away. Flashbulbs burst like fireworks. Neither of them blinked. Inside the theater, when the lights dimmed, Jinwoo leaned close and whispered, "You ready?" Nodded. Always. The movie began. On screen, they played strangers who fall in love through letters. Off screen, their real story hummed beneath every line. But alive. Halfway through, during a quiet scene where his character calls hers by a secret name, someone in the audience gasped. It wasn't scripted. The director hadn't noticed. Only they knew. And when the credits rolled, applause filled the room. Mira looked at Jinwoo and thought of the first time she'd heard that word, sunshine, and how it had changed everything. Love hadn't come as thunder or lightning. It had come as language, two words small enough to hide in a crowd but bright enough to light a lifetime. Later, after the interviews and the flashing lights, stood once more on the same balcony where everything had begun. The night was clear. The city quiet. He turned to her. Do you ever miss the days when no one knew? She smiled. Sometimes. I'd rather be known for something real. He reached out, brushing her cheek with his thumb. Then here's to real. She nodded. And to words that mean what they're supposed to. They leaned against the railing, side by side, watching the reflection of 1,000 lights dance across the river. Good night, starling, she whispered. Night, sunshine, he replied. Their voices disappeared into the wind, two names. Two hearts, finally unhidden. After the noise faded and the world found new stories to chase, the nicknames remained, whispered in passing. Written on coffee cups, hidden in scripts. Stitched into the lining of jackets. Sunshine. Starling. They had once been secrets. Now they were symbols, reminders that even in the loudest world, love could still speak softly. It didn't need to be shouted, proven, or performed. It only needed to be true. And somewhere, between the flash of cameras and the hush of dawn, they learned that the most beautiful bonds are not the ones the world demands to see, but the ones that simply choose to stay. Thank you for following the secret bond exposed through their hidden nicknames. This story is a quiet tribute to the language of connection, to those unspoken words, small gestures, and tender names that remind us how deeply we can belong to one another. To every reader who has ever kept a secret name for someone they loved, this one is for you. Because sometimes, love isn't a confession. A whisper that never fades.